the gods get around. I think that's something that can't really be disputed. The gods quite literally get around. That's their entire mythology. That's literally Camp Half-Blood in a nutshell, and Camp Jupiter. The thing that always confused me is the fact that the gods get around so much, and yet they only have 2 camps for their kids. What gives? Okay, so I have not explained the concept for this video very well, but basically, I don't get why there are only 2 camps and why these camps are only in America. Now, before anyone says, oh, it's because the god's capital is in America, and I'm like, yes, but as is shown in the books themselves, particularly in the Trials of Apollo series, they're having kids everywhere. There are kids coming from all over. They've got, what's his name? Paulo from Brazil? Yeah, Brazil. Because like that's one of his catchphrases is basically, yeah, Brazil. Not great, Rick. But because of things like that, and the fact that the gods, continue to move from capital to capital, why do they only have camps in America? And also, why do they only have 2 camps in America? America is goddamn huge. I mean, if they're having kids over in California and they're not Roman kids, they will go all the way over to New York to, live, both figuratively and literally. Because there's monsters, they're having to uproot their entire lives just to stay alive. And I know that's like the whole thing in the sort of magical school, magical safe haven thing in stories like this, that there's usually only 1 or 2 at most in certain areas. But considering how much the gods get around, how often they have kids, the fact that America is huge, it is interesting to me that Camp Half-Blood and Camp Jupiter are the only camps for demigods. Because Camp Jupiter in and of itself shows us that legacy kids exist. And the gods weren't that long ago in Britain. Though admittedly they should have definitely been in Britain a lot longer, because like they said, it became the capital for the gods after Britain were kicked out by America. Which doesn't make sense because America wasn't a powerhouse yet comparatively. But the whole moving of the Western civilization thing just doesn't really work. In terms of where it stays in certain places, that's a conversation for another time, Fran. Focus on the Camp Half-Blood thing. New Rome showed us that legacy kids exist. So whether they are descended, multiple lines away from a god, they still get to go to this camp because they are a descendant, and sometimes they still have powers. So it just makes me wonder of a descendant, say, like a 5th time I can't do that amount, 5th down the line grandchild connected to someone who was a child of Hermes in Britain, say for example. They're in Britain still, most likely. So how are they getting to Camp Half-Blood to live? I know they won't have the most power in them because they're so far down the line from, Greek heritage. But, they sometimes do have powers. But either way, the gods don't just stay in America to, shag mortals. They travel. They get about. This is well known. So does that mean every child, no matter where they're from and where they've, where the god has, conceived of the mortal in, do they have to travel to America? I mean, it's something that just confuses me in general. And I know it's like a world building thing, and it's not important at all. But surely there were camps in Britain or Portugal or France, like wherever height of power areas were. Surely there were camps there beforehand. And surely those camps should still be there. Because it's not like those descendants just suddenly disappeared after a period of time. Because, they're going to have kids, their kids are going to go to this camp. This camp is just going to continue to have these kids, even if they're less numbers. It's not going to just vanish after a period of time. It just makes me think of, in King Chronicles, they have all these different houses and gnomes for different magical areas. And America's got loads of them because America's huge, obviously. Could the same be said for the Greek and Roman kids? Having camps all over the world. But these camps just aren't as known because, you know, they're not as active anymore. I think it'd be interesting to see if that was actually something that was going on, because, I don't know, it makes a lot more sense to me. It makes sense that there would be other camps where other demigods, where they were conceived in other countries, stay there instead of moving to America. Because firstly, visa process. The visa process is not going to be easy. Secondly, America's scary. Thirdly, finances. Who can afford to move as a child, firstly, as a child, to another country completely alone? Logistics. So, I don't know what this video was about, but basically, I think there are other camps from the previous stages of power, from the Greek and Roman gods in other countries that are kind of still there, still in use, but just not as well used or well known because, you know, they're not the central power anymore, so they don't have as many demigod kids. What do you guys think of this really weird video that I've done here, wondering why there are only 2 camps when the gods get around? Let me know what you think. Do you think there are going to be other camps somewhere in the world? Do you think I'm insane for this video? I've just made it just to be like, wah. Oh, 2023 is getting off to a fun start. Let me know what you think. Thank you all for tuning into this video. I don't know what's going on. The next one will probably be a lot better than this, but we'll see. It's 2023. Anything can happen. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Check out my Patreon. Subscribe, comment, laugh at me. You know, go for it. I don't mind. And I'll see you all next time. Maybe.